G'day and welcome back. Today I've got something a little bit different. We're going to go international. This is a radio from New Zealand. It is made by Philco in New Zealand. This radio doesn't belong to me. It belongs to a lady, we'll call her Susan. She contacted the club, the radio club, and the radio club said, why don't you talk to me and he might do it for you. So I accepted the job. I don't really like doing outside work, but I thought I'll help this lady out. It's in pretty good condition. It's missing a knob there, which I'm trying to source a new one, otherwise I'm going to have to make one. Dial is in excellent condition, so it's been kept inside this radio. It has medium wave only, shortwave 1, shortwave 2, 31 metre, 25 metre, 19, 16 and one on the end, 13 metre. The case is in a reasonable condition. It has the crazing that you get in the finish that they used to use. I don't want to redo it because it'll take over a week or two just to refinish it, and it wouldn't be worth it for the radio. The cost to the owner would be way too much. So all I'll do is just try and neaten it up a bit and make it look a bit more respectable. I have the schematic. I downloaded it off the New Zealand Vintage Radio Project website. That's run by my friend Kiwi Steve over there. And he's got a lot of stuff there on vintage Kiwi radios. It's an 8-valve set. It has a tuned RF stage. There's the mixer, the IF amp, a detector and a triode. There's a phase inverter because it's got a push-pull output, and they've used 42 valves, which is pretty unusual for that period. You can see it says Philco up here, and it's got Dominion Radio and Electrical Corporation Limited in Auckland. And over here it says New Zealand Philco Model 860, and it was drawn on the 20th of the 12th 49, so 20th of December 49. On another website I found this newspaper ad. It was in the Otago Daily Times in March 1950. There it is down the bottom, Philco Model 860, the leading shortwave table model radio, 8 tubes and Philco spread band tuning range. I'll spin the radio around, we'll have a look in the back. Here's the back, and the first thing I notice is the chassis has been chromed. It's actually chrome plated. There's the Philco badge, and it says 860 in there, serial numbers, 70 watts, and I can't read that, I think it says 230 volts. There's at least 3 Locked-all valves there. These will give us a bit of trouble with their contacts. Here are the 2 push-pull valves, and they've used 42 valves. You would think by this stage, 1950, they'd be using 6V6, 6F6, something like that. But they've stuck to pre-war stuff. 5Y3 maybe. Oh no, it says 80. Wow, really? Yeah, it's an 80 valve, alright. Wow. So they still had a valve shortage in that time, or they just had old stock they wanted to get rid of. Here's the 3-gang tuning capacitor, so the RF, antenna and oscillator, not necessarily in that order. I think the dial string might be broken. No, I thought it was broken there. No, that's where the pointer is. I didn't actually try to tune it. It also has a field coil type speaker. I'll take the radio out of the chassis and we can have a look around underneath. I thought you might like to see what it's like for me working on these things, and I've got all these cameras in front of me, so I've got to work through all the cameras and cords. Anyway, let's have a look at this. Somebody's been in here. I wasn't expecting this. I thought it was going to be a Virgin, but it's nowhere near it. So it's got some new capacitors there, probably coupling capacitors. Yeah, 0.01. So they've just used disc capacitors. A couple of poly caps there. There's another poly looking cap there. I assume it's a poly cap. Another one down here. All the resistors look original. There's a styro over in the corner here. Yeah, nothing really remarkable there. The 2 potentiometers here, that's volume, that's tone, and they do not look 1950, so they've been replaced. There's an electrolytic there. It's a bit hard to see, but I think the original electrolytics are still in service. Over here we've got a multitude of coils in here for the different frequencies, trimmers. There's some wafer switches there. Now this is an odd setup for the tuning. It's got little washers there with tangs that would intermesh as you turned it, or would balk on each other actually. So if I tune it, yeah, they all turn. If you go the other way, oh, don't know what happens. Oh no, there they go, they start to separate. And I can see it's got induction tuning. It's got 3 coils there for induction tuning, and as I'm turning that, it's fine tuning, I assume. Is that their band spread? That might be the band spread feature. Wow, I've never seen anything like that. And you can see these little tangs going around, and they pick up the next one. Yeah, I don't know how that works. Anyway, I'm sure we'll find out. but that is intriguing. I've turned the chassis up the right way. There's 4 of these lock-tool valves. These ones here, there's one hiding around the corner there. These have an issue with contacts and the sockets, or the pins in the sockets. And they actually clip in. They have a little clip that grips this center stem. And as you can see here, the pins are very discoloured and they're very small diameter, so they don't give a lot of contact area when they're inserted. Now, having said that, the no-val pins are about the same diameter. I want to put some power on, but I'll clean these out with some deoxit and one of these interdental picks. So I'll just go around doing that. Sometimes you have to retension the sockets. They become loose and then they won't grip the pin and you won't get good contact. It's doing something because my dental pick's getting discoloured, so I'm getting something off. I've got a Dremel tool with a brush attachment. I can do these. I can actually get inside almost with the tool. Then I'll use a scourer just to finish it off. Let's clean it off pretty well. I'll just use a deoxit soaked scourer just to kind of finish it off. So I'll do all these valves and sockets and I'll come back. I've cleaned all the pins and the sockets for the locktail valves. I did notice this. It has a little clip on the side. This is the triode detector, and it would have had maybe a foil-lined cardboard sleeve around it to act as a shield. So that may give some problems with the shield missing. So this one here's the tone, so there's the on-off switch. So that's tone, I'll put it on a little bit. This is volume, so that's up a little bit. This is tuning. No, it's not. No, that's the wave change. Oh, okay, so we'll put it on medium wave. That string's awfully loose. Oh, look, I can see the pulleys off there. See if I can coax it back on. There we go. Didn't make much difference, it's still slack. So that's on medium wave now, and this is the tuning, and the tuning does work. Okay. I've got the speaker laying down. I'll put a little block of wood there. If I put it up the other way, I'll drop something on it for sure. I have it on dim bulb. I'll put some power on. And the light globe went bright and then back off again. I can hear a hum. Let's see if it tunes anything. Should be something here. Where are we? Should be something about there. Not hearing anything. Crackles. There we go.
Severe effects on Indigenous culture in Central Australia.
That's Joshua Brown, the co-chair of the Central Australian Youth Justice Network.
Tone. Oops.
He and his team claim the gentle heating of the bodies after death means they were smoked for preservation, making them the oldest mummies in the world. Some of the...
I've had a memorable moment at say, it's not really what we asked for, but anyway.
Noisy capacitor there.
Yeah, that was... And someone read that before he wrote it, but he hadn't read it either.
It's working pretty well.
Very excited about it, and we've got Hermitage, Hong Kong.
There's our music station there. We're not getting that this time of day. It's the middle of the day. So it's working alright. Where's that station going? Oh, there it is.
Deliberately, this wouldn't happen by itself. They didn't just fall into the fire.
That doesn't seem to work, that tone.
At environmental consultancy, Ecological.
Yeah, it sounds very high pitched. So there may be something wrong with that control or the capacitor that's attached to it. I'll try changing the band. Lost our light up there. That's shortwave 1. Not getting much out of that at all. Not getting much out of any of them. Once again, it might be the wafer switch. Yeah, no point going any further than that. I'll turn it off. I'll take it outside and I'll do the chassis, clean that all up. Then we can come back, I'll flip it over and have a look and see what I need to do underneath. I have the case out in the workshop and I've taken the valves out. Now let's see what it takes to clean the chassis up. As I said earlier, it's chromed. It should be very easy to clean. I don't think there's even any rust on it. I brought this out to my workshop after the last bit of filming, and look, the strings come off the tuning mechanism. So I don't know when that must have broken just as I finished filming. I'll try and clean this up a bit. There are some little dirty marks here. I'm not sure if they're rust or not. This is methylated spirits on a rag. Let's see if that cleans it up. It's cleaning up the chrome. Maybe that is a bit of, might be a little bit of rust there. I got a bit of 4-0 steel wool. We'll see if that takes it off. It's going straight off. Yeah. I don't think it is rust. It's got something on it. I don't think it's rust. So this will clean up easy. Yeah, look at that. That's going to be good. It's like new. There's another mark there, and I'll just see if that'll come off. Yeah, that's coming off as well. It's just something that's spilled on the chassis, I think. It's not rust. I'll finish this out here. I'm going to turn the cameras off. I'll take it inside when it's all done, and we'll have a look and start looking at some of the other problems it's got. I'm back in my little workroom now, and as expected, it cleaned up fantastic. It was covered in cigarette tar. You could smell it, and I just had that yellow-brown muck all over it. Anyway, it took a long time to clean up, very hard to clean up, but I got it done. The paint on the transformer was all right. I cleaned the tar off it. It was a bit dull, so I put some of that polytrol gel coat on it, and it looks really good. The tuning capacitor is also covered in tar. I've tried cleaning it. I've been cleaning it with this and some alcohol. Where is it? Ah, there it is. So just spraying these things and trying to rub it off there. Look, there's some there. I can't even get it off. And rubbing alcohol-soaked paper between the veins. It's got a lot off, but it's going to be too hard to take the whole thing off. It has about half a dozen earth wires on it, plus the 3 wires for the capacitor. There's some on the back there as well, some lighting wires. So I was going to put it in the ultrasonic machine. It's just too hard to get off. I'm not going to bother. Plus I'd have to undo the dial string. I refitted the dial string, but it kept falling off all the time. And what I found was when I wound the pointer all the way down to the bottom of the scale there, this string here would wind up on the side of the pulley and fall off, but it's not doing it now. I was going to try and move the pulley out a little bit so it lined up better with the pulley around the back here. That guide pulley is trying to pull the string off the larger pulley. I'll see how it goes. I mean, I didn't do it for the last 60 or 70 years or whatever, so I'm not sure why it started to do it now. It's got the better of me. I'm going to take the capacitor out and ultrasonically clean it. It's got so much gunk in the stators there. You can't see it from where you are, but it's just full of tar. So it's not too bad. I'll undo the wires from here, and there's 4 bolts on the back, and there's 3 bolts on the back. I'll undo that. Actually, I could almost take the whole bracket off. And I think I'll change the dial string. It's got a couple of little nicks in it, and it's old. So it should come off pretty easily. Yeah. I'll finish the rest of these. I'll come back. I can't get to those last 2 wires with the capacitor installed, so I have to take the capacitor off its mount and try and undo them. Then I need to take the pulley off. I've hit another little problem here. The grub screws they've used have got the little flats on each side. Yeah, you can see it's 2 flats on the grub screw. Now, my mate Don over in Perth the other day had a similar thing on a Pearl radio he was working on. His channel's Don's old radio shed. Pretty sure he gave up. I don't think he could do it. I'll see if I can manufacture something to be able to loosen these off. I have an old Allen key and I've slotted the end here, so hopefully that'll do the job. It does actually fit over the little grub screws. I'll see if I can get it in there. That's okay. Now, how tight is it? Oh, easy. Okay. I'll see if I can get to the other one. I'll try and get the second one. Oh, no worries. I'll just undo the 3 bolts on the back. I could take the whole bracket off, but I've got to take the tuner off anyway, so might as well just do this way first. And the last one. Okay. Leave the pulley there, I guess. Oh, it'll take the other 2 wires off and we're free. have all the parts here. There's little mica sheets in behind these trimmers. I'll take them out. There they are. There it is. Slot for the screwdriver is not big enough there, so I'll use a socket. I'll go and put that in the ultrasonic machine. I've been preheating the ultrasonic cleaner. It's about 50 degrees C at the moment. It'll get up to about 70 after a while. I'm going to use some citric acid. Greg from Greg's Vintage Radios over in America, he cleaned one up the other day using citric acid and it looked brand new, so I'll give it a try. I'm not totally convinced, but we'll see what happens. Not sure how much you put in either. I'll just try and stir it, get it to dissolve. Yes, dissolved well. I've opened the capacitor, so I put that in. Yikes, it's hot. I'll just put the wheel in as well. And can we fit this in? Yep, it's okay. And I've put all the hardware in this little T infuser. Okay. Alright, I'll turn it on for 30 minutes. It's getting stuff off already. Oh, look at it all. Look at all that tar coming out. Right, put the lid on. I'll come back later. It's been going for an hour. I reset it once. Let's see what it looks like. Wow. Well, that looks much better. Much better. Gosh, okay. Bracket looks good too. They just cleaned up really well. And the wheel, that looks good. And the hardware, there we go. I'll go and rinse all this off in clean hot water and take it inside. I have the capacitor back inside. I'll solder all these wires on before I mount it back on the bracket. I've got to put the pulley on, of course, and then I can put the bracket on. Once all that's on, I'll replace the dial string. I've had a bit of a rethink, and I might actually do the restring now without the capacitor in the way. It was a bit hard to do when it was all, when it was coming off the pulley there. It was a bit hard to do, so I might try and do it without the capacitor there. And you'd be right to think, how are you going to do that? Because the wheel's got nothing to hang on to. But I have printed a little stand or little pivot for it to sit on, and I'll tape that to the back wall there, and I can tighten that up and just sit there, and I'll restring it like that, and hopefully I can just transfer it onto the capacitor when I fit it. The string looks reasonably complex, but it's actually pretty straightforward. This is where the wheel goes, and the string is all in position there. It is actually in two pieces. There's two pieces of string, and it's tied off here where it's on the spindle. This is the tuning shaft from underneath. There's the two strings there, the one there and one there. This here is an end-to-end stop, so it just limits how far the actual shaft can turn. I count about 10 turns on there, so I need to unwind it, put a new bit of string on, and I'll wind the 10 turns back on. So I'll just turn it from underneath and pull the string. Actually, I can just pull the string, I think. Yeah, it's a bit hard. I'll turn it down the bottom. Okay, that's it. So that's actually got 2 turns on it again. Alright. This is the end of the old string, and they've put a little ferrule on there, which I like. So I'll take it off the split pin or the cotter pin. So I've made my own little ferrule and loop, and this is an earth terminal. I've just cut the end off there. I've got thousands of these, so I might as well use them up for this. Right. But I reckon that'll make a nice little loop there. I like that. So I'll put that back on. I've put the cotter pin in and I've wrapped it around twice, so it should be just a matter of winding that on. And once that end of travel thing tops out, we should have 10 wraps on it. There it is. We're top side again, so that's got to go in that pulley there. comes up here and it goes around that pulley there. There you go, and that's the old string there. Then it comes down here, around that pulley, there we go, and then around there, and it picks up the pointer there. Here's the pointer here. This little ledge here is the stop, so that has to sit up there, and then this has to hook into the pointer there. That should go down there, and I think that's probably about right. So the rest of it just goes down and gets tied around the pulley there. I've put some tape on the string to hold it. I also measured from here on the old string to the end, so I was able to make a loop and finish it. So that should be the correct length. Now I need to do the other string. It's exactly the same as this one, so I'll do all that. I'll come back and we'll see if I can fit it on my floating wheel in the middle there. I put that second string in and I was able to cut it to length because I could use the old one as a template. Now I'll put my little post holder thing here and hopefully it'll stay there, and that goes on there like that. This one goes around the bottom. Put this on first. This is the one that kept falling off. I should be able to hook it in there. Right. I'll just nip that up to hold it. It wants to undo. Okay. And this one goes around here. And that one hooks under there. And around here. Oops, my little thingy gave away there. Little holder. Come on. There we go. I'll loosen the grub screw. I'll remove the tape and we'll see if it's going to work. Okay, here we go. Is it going to work? It is. It is working. I think that'll be okay. That'll hold while I install all the capacitor, and then I'll connect it up. I'll come back and we'll make sure it's going to work. I've remounted the tuning capacitor. I transferred the pulley over to the capacitor. That worked pretty well. And I've adjusted where the dial picks up here and here. So everything's set. It works really well. Very smooth. Yeah, pretty happy with that. The tension's good. It was a lot of work to change that, but I'm glad I did. There was a little notch in the string, so that was about to go. So it was a good thing I changed it. But yeah, a bit of work, maybe half a day, a bit more than half a day to do all that. So the string for the band selector has also broken. I've got to replace that. This is the carriage for the band selector. It moves the globe up and down so you know what band you're on. And the string's broken there. The heat from the lamp's probably weakened that. It's a very simple run. There's just a drum there. It goes around once, comes in there, goes around the other way, and then goes up the sides there. There's a spring on the side here, and that's really stretched, but I think that's how they've done it from the factory. There's another spring on the other side, and that's got a clever little loop of string so that the spring has a maximum amount of stretch, and then the string takes over. And of course there's the sled up the top. My plan will be to just take this string out. I'll measure it, make a new string up, and then just put it on. I'm not going to bore you with that. I'll do all that and then I'll come back. I've finished the restring. It's working. I think I lost a bit more hair than I used to have. It was a challenge. Anyway, mainly it was trying to get the springs in the right place, and this spring and the little carrier up the top, trying to get that all aligned. That was the tricky part, but it's working, and I'll move on. I think we'll have a look underneath, see what needs to be done under there. I have the radio on its side. There's not a lot to do here really. I've checked quite a few of the resistors and they're okay. There are some silver banded ones there, so they'll be 10%. I might have to lift them to check them. I'll try and make sure they're in the 10%. At some point someone's just added another filter capacitor, and it's attached to the original filter capacitor, which is obviously not working. That's why they put that one in. Then they've just left that in circuit. That's no good. The second filter capacitor is still in circuit, still being used. So I'll take all this apart and redo it with some new capacitors. I'll just mount them underneath. I'm not going to restuff the originals. Now the coupling capacitors have been replaced with these disc capacitors. They're okay. I spoke to my friend at the radio club. He said generally they're okay, but they're so poorly done that they've just tacked them in. I'm going to replace them. I just got a new batch of Carl's capacitors in, so I'll neaten all that up, get rid of this dodgy soldering. I'll fix that up. The tone control doesn't seem to be working. I'll wait till I get the radio working, we'll test it again. There's a resistor just floating there. That used to go to a center tap on the original volume control. This is a new volume control, and that had a little tapping, and that gives you that low volume loudness feature. So that's missing that tapping, so they've just cut that resistor off and just left it floating. This underside is also covered with all the cigarette tar. I could clean that up, I suppose. I'm not going to bother. It is a outside job. I'm not going to sit here wasting my time and their time cleaning all that off. So I think I'll wrap it up today, and while I'm between episodes, I'll change all these capacitors, and I'll come back next time and see how it's going. I didn't really achieve a lot this episode. Maybe next time it'll be a bit more interesting. I hope you enjoyed whatever we did this week, which wasn't a whole lot, but hopefully you enjoyed what we did, and I hope you can join me next time for my next radio adventure.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!